Hey, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Hey, Frank, I am here. Can you guys hear me all right? I think I think you should be able to hear me, but I'm not positive. Let's see. Sorry, I was expecting to go from that 30-second countdown directly into me on the screen, but apparently I have to manually do that. So so there's that. So how is everybody doing tonight? I apologize. I normally schedule these for 7:30. Was literally sitting at the dinner table and realized I think I scheduled it for 7. So I hope that doesn't mess too many people up. Um, it messes me up, but I didn't want to. I'm glad I realized it and didn't like just not show up for a half hour. Um, so cheers, cupcakes. How we doing? I do need an assistant, but then I'd have to pay them, and I don't want to do it. What's up, Brandy? Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to pay an assistant. Is the whole thing. And plus, I don't know what I'd have them do. I mean, I would. I know what I would have them do, but everybody keeps telling me I should hire an editor. But I like editing. What's up, Paul? Cleveland, man. How's it going? Get an intern. Yeah, there you go. That's a better idea. I like that idea. What's up, Ed? How's everybody doing this evening? I am upstairs instead of down in the shop today because I have some sort of weird. My wife could tell you what it's called. I can't remember. I have like a weird nerve cluster thing going on the bottom of my foot, and it constantly feels like I'm walking with like on a pebble or like a marble. And so standing out on the concrete floor of the shop just didn't for like an hour just didn't sound super appealing. So there's that. And it's got a name. I gotta go see a doctor about it. I was gonna most of my aches and pains I just kind of ignore, but this one's getting really obnoxious because it constantly feels like I have something in my shoe. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun, Matthew. Um, and and it's weird because it kind of comes and goes. Like it won't always be there, but like usually by the end of the day, it'll get me. So like I'll take my shoes off or something, and all of a sudden it's like there it is. I feel like so it being half hour early, the kids are still up too. So if you hear kids, or they may just come on up. That's that's life. That's what happens. Um, yeah, Frank, I hear you. I like, man. So this is the weirdest thing. When I started back working out, and like I've gotten over it now. I don't know what it was, but I like whenever I do like a crunch or any sort of core exercise, my abs would cramp up on one side, and since your ab is a muscle that can kind of it goes both ways a little bit more than I can't like there's a term for it. But so if I stretched it too far one way or the other, it would continue to cramp. So I had to kind of like sit in a weird kind of like C shape so it wouldn't cramp. It was really annoying and really uncomfortable. Not cool at all. Let's see. So what do we got? We got all sorts of folks in here. And we are going to be doing a little Q&A tonight. I did ask you guys for questions, but if you have questions along the way, go ahead and ask them in chat or in the comment section or wherever you guys are. Um, yeah, chat, sure. Um, yeah, Frank, he says that's the muscles pushing you. It wasn't the muscles pushing me then because I was like, man, I can't do this exercise. I also have to change something because it's annoying me. Give me 1 second. There we go. Let's see. Do we go classic? No, we don't like classic. And we don't like block, right? Yeah, we just like this one. Okay. Sorry, I had this set up for maker's therapy. So I have it set up a little different and I didn't change everything. Because I'm an asshole. That's right. It's me. Also, like this is killing me. Like this, I can't get my face any less white up here because the Jim, I'm getting like that is one of the questions. I'll get to it in a second. Um, and Tim, I got you too. Uh, actually, I'll ask you. I'll answer you guys first. but I can't get the light any less bright because the background of StreamYard, the streaming service I use, is bright white, so it looks like there's a big old light shining on my face. Anyway, neither here nor there. So let's see, Jim. So Jim asks thoughts on the Xtool P2. Um, I have not had a chance to do anything with it yet. So from what I've seen, um, I didn't look at it a whole lot. To be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't really going to give it a review um, because I kind of have a deal with AP Laser, and I figured I would just kind of like stay out of the CO2 market for that. But I've had enough of you guys ask me because Xtool did reach out. They asked me if I wanted to review it, and I told them no. But I've had enough of you guys ask me about it that I reached back out to them and I'm like, hey, listen, I have a bunch of viewers that are asking about this. Do you still want to send me one? That doesn't mean they will send me one, but I do have a small amount of influence with them sometimes due to our relationship. So they may send me one. Now, that being said, I kind of wanted to steer clear of it because of a couple of things. Now, let me preface this by saying Xtool makes a good product. So the only thing that concerns me is some other brands, right? So other like overseas lasers, let's call it, everybody calls them Chinese lasers. They can get around some of the safety precautions because they're overseas. That was the thing that kind of concerned me about it a little bit. Like I said, Xtool makes a pretty decent product though. So well, I don't know. Like, I mean, it may be fine. So I don't want to, I don't want to give that negative connotation without actually seeing the machine because it's pretty. It's damn pretty. Now, what I'm really curious about is I don't know if you guys have seen it in action or watched the video. I knew that it was going to have the feed through, but I didn't realize it was going to auto feed. So that looks pretty cool. I don't know how much I would use that, but it's cool to have the ability to do that. And I know some people do have, they do larger pieces. I just normally don't do, I try to stick to the dimensions of my machine if I can. Personal preference. And the other thing that I didn't know until I saw the preview for it or whatever, I guess the trailer for it, for lack of a better term, was the fact that it'll height adjust on the go. And I don't know how that works. And I would be it's just sometimes Xtool comes out with a good concept and it doesn't execute well in the beginning. So I would love to see that firsthand before I would recommend that particular function to anybody because we have not seen that on a laser yet, at least at least a consumer laser. So I'd be really curious how that goes. Those are my thoughts on the P2 so far. Where's my mouse? And then Tim says, what do you use to clean the Xtool lens and how often? How often really depends on how much you're using your laser and what you're cutting or engraving. If you are producing a lot of smoke, let's just say the more smoke you make, I don't know what that was. Sounds like a dirt bike in my backyard. Let's see. So I'm sorry. The more smoke you make and the more often you make it, the more often you want to clean your lens. I try to clean my lens once a week. Lenses, I guess I should say, but I'm bad about that on my CO2s because my CO2s seem to not get as much gunk on them, and I think it's because they're a little bit further away from the material. So and like the big CO2's got a big old fan in it too. So I think that draws like the majority of the stuff out. So it's kind of like when you pop your lens out and it's totally clean, and then you put it back in, then you kind of want to shift around on that. Depending on how much I use the Xtool, usually weekly. Well, I try to do weekly, probably bi-weekly. But if you're cutting like a lot of MDF or something, or just anything that produces a lot of smoke, leather tends to. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's something that it's burning in the leather, but that seems to stick to the lens a little bit more. Um, so I mean, I would say rule of thumb every 2 weeks. I know AP Laser told me to clean it like when I got my AP Laser, like clean it every week. Um, I do not see where it needs that, but I don't run it 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, or anything like that either. So if you were, that's where we get into like how many, how often are you using it? Because that laser runs and then I edit a video for 8 to 10 hours or something like that. So it's not always going. Whereas if you're in a production environment, it probably would be always going, right? At that point in time, I would clean it every week. Just make it part of your Monday or something or your Friday. Let's see. Okay. Frank says, I was cutting quarter-inch Baltic birch plywood and took 3 passes, but there are these little bits that don't cut. So, quick fixes are no. There's no quick fixes. Any plywood is going to have denser spots of glue, and those denser spots are going to be harder to cut through. I did not know this until I got into lasers, but glue is actually a heat sink. It actually dissipates the heat. So, what's up, Jaggedfire? Um, if it hits one of those denser spots, it's going to have a harder time cutting through that. You may want to do like your normal pass or your normal 3 passes, I guess, and then maybe crank it up just a little bit and do a 4th pass and see if that takes care of it. Um, so you're running a 20-watt diode. I I mean, honestly, if you're cutting quarter-inch on the regular, I would look at like a little bit more powerful laser if you can afford it. Like a 40-watt CO2 or something's gonna do that a little bit better. Let's see. What small items seem to sell the best? See, this is a weird one. People ask me this all the time, and I sell keychains, and I do really good with my keychains. My keychains sell really well. But one thing I was told is that earrings sell really well, and I posted on Etsy like a half dozen sets of earrings, and I've never sold one of them. Now I'm a dude, like they were wife approved, and they were, different cool little designs and whatnot. And maybe I just wasn't picking the right design. Um, so I think it depends, Chris, on what crowd you're catering to, first of all. And second of all, like how niche is it? Like all of my keychains are horror movie themed in some way, or I guess horror or sci-fi themed in some way. And so I tend to get like people like in that niche, which is fine because that's a niche that I would be in anyway. But I know a lot of people are like, "Hey, man, I want to make like cool whiskey stuff because I love whiskey stuff," and then they make something that sells really well to like suburban housewives, and it's like, dude, lean into that. If it sells better than that, then that's fine. I remember listening to like a confession on YouTube, not YouTube, Instagram, where somebody was like, they said they were like super left wing, very, very Democrat, but they sold Trump stuff on Etsy because it sold. And I was like, well, dude, it's a business. It doesn't have anything to do with your beliefs. Yeah, it's really cool if you can sell and the same stuff that you're really into, like really into D&D, sell D&D stuff. But if something takes off, lean into it. Let's see. Thank you, Brad. Um, yes, so Jim is talking about the curved material feature and that it's very cool looking. It surprises me that Xtool has come up with this first because there's companies that have been making CO2 lasers for a lot longer than Xtool that have not come up with something like this yet. That's the reason I'm a little concerned about it. Because like the autofocus on the M1 is a little wonky. So if they're using that same technology, it may be kind of an issue. I've never done any welding, so I don't know how well I'd like it, but I want to learn how to weld so bad. The thing is, everybody I talk to that's a welder is like, it's actually pretty easy to get into. It's just you kind of have to amass a bunch of stuff first, right? Like you need a torch and you need fuel and like you probably need a welding table and it's just like not that getting that stuff is that big of an issue. But what's up, Crash? Uh, My issue is where to put it, because like I had tons of room in the garage until I got the gigantic AP laser, and that thing's the size of a small car. It's it's a smart car parked in my garage. So the smart cars are dumb, aren't they? But yeah, so I mean, like I immediately took up like a huge amount of space. That was one of the reasons I turned down Xtool in the beginning for their P2 is because I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm running out of room. Let's see. Yes, white towel makes a ton of dust and it builds up on the head. Like another good rule of thumb. Oh, you know what? Whoever asked, Dragonfire's answer my question for me. I just use Q-tips. Get good. Excuse me. Get good Q-tips though. I bought some crappy Q-tips. It's like for the bathroom, like cheap ones. And like if I'm like doing my ear, the little head will fall off. What's that about? So I was using those out in the garage too, and they do the same thing. Like if you're scrubbing, it'll come off. So just invest in your Q-tips. But Q-tips and isopropyl alcohol is all I use to clean my lens. Sorry I didn't answer that before, or you know what I mean. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. And so Frank, if there's also if you're using Lightburn, there's also a tab feature in there. If you have the tab feature on, it will leave tabs, kind of like a CNC will. So if I think you would have to go in and turn that on, but if you inadvertently turn that on, look for it. It's in like when you click on the layer, it's in that window. That says something like leave tabs or something or other. What's up, RT? Dude, they were not cheap. Let me put it that way. I ordered them thinking I would make a mint on that video, and it kind of bombed. But they are pretty cool. Let's see. I watched a video on burning wood and tried it on my guitar that I stained with red dye, and it looks amazing. Thanks for sharing. Nice, Paul. Do you ever have like guitar blanks that I could buy from you? What's up, homie?
Daddy.
Hey, bud.
Where's Paul?
Huh?
Where's Paul?
Paul? I don't know. Where are you, Paul? I was reading his comment. See? This is Ozzy. Ozzy's about to lose all his hair. He says itches. I was like, I hear you. You coming too, T?
Do not shave up here. Do not shave up here in that spot.
Why not?
Because that is where my head hurts.
Okay. I will not shave there. Hey, T. Are you showing off your teeth? Or are you just not? She's shy. She's my shy one. He's my outgoing one. She's my shy one. He told me it was shy one time. I was like, you were not shy. Hi, T. Hello there, ma'am. Can you say hi? Can you say hello, cupcakes?
Hello, cupcake. Hello.
You gonna show off some 3D prints?
Look, Paul. This Daddy made.
The camera's right there, bud. So there you go.
Daddy made this.
So that's a 3D print of a clicker from The Last of Us. If you see The Last of Us, just playing with the 3D printer, trying to figure it out.
Daddy.
Yes.
Why is it called The Last of Us?
Because it is a movie about kind of the end of civilization, or maybe the end of civilization.
But you don't see any people.
You don't see any people? That's because they're watching us.
Oh.
This isn't like the one I do on Saturday where there's a bunch of people. It's just me. So you're hiding now. You are too.
I know 1,000 plus 10,000.
You what?
I know 100 plus 100.
What's 100 plus 100?
10,000?
10,000?
No, 2
times.
I mean times.
There you go.
I learned 24 divided by 4.
24 divided by 4.
Me too.
What is it?
I mean 28 divided by 4. It is 4.
You sure about that?
Okay, say.
You sure about
that? Okay, it's 4. Okay, it's 2.
Go to bed.
6. Okay,
your math brain is not working right now. You're supposed to show off your tremendous math skills, sir. All right, guys. I love you. Good night. So Paul, you've done one thing that I've been yet to do, and that's get a good result with RIT dye. People told me to use RIT dye a long time ago, and I've tried it on several occasions, and I never get a good result. So good on you. Yes, sir. He dyed a guitar with Rit dye. Does that help at all?
Daddy,
Yes, sir.
can you get it when it's a guitar?
We'll talk about it. Okay, let's see. I have the Ortura Master Pro 2 short focus, and I will like to know if I can cut 3mm color acrylic. Let's see. Is that well, I mean, yes and no. So colored acrylic is dark colored acrylics are cuttable with a blue diode laser. The closer you get to clear and the closer you get to blue, the harder you're going to have a time. So diode lasers can't cut clear. So anything that starts becoming transparent or opaque is going to be more difficult to cut. Clear is difficult to cut, and then blue is blue is a diode's nemesis because the diode is a blue diode to begin with. So blue light into whatever blue medium you're doing is going to be kind of an issue. So yes and no. Yes, and Frank answered your question there. We're the same. It depends on the color of the acrylic. So if you go on Xtool's website, I mean, I know you don't have an Xtool. If you go on Xtool's website and look at the acrylic that they sell, they only sell colors that will cut with a diode laser. So you can be pretty safe with those, like red, green, black. Trying to think what else they have. Like I think orange will cut. I think I've cut orange with that. Anyway, so yeah. But yes. And greetings from Houston, Edwards in Georgia. Let's see. I love making stuff that I personally like my house. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about this. So, yeah, dude. I mean, well, I don't, I don't mind making high dollar stuff, but I'm a very like finished product kind of person. Like having it done is like is my reward. It's not necessarily the process. So I like to do stuff that's a little quicker. But as far as as catering to a populace, it kind of depends. But yes, like cheaper stuff sells better. If you can make something that's like it's the dog. If you can make something that is relatively like doesn't take you a whole lot of time, but you can sell for a lot of money, that always helps. But if you're trying to sell online, I would say smaller items do better because a lot of times, especially if you're selling on Etsy, you want to be able to offer free shipping because people, ever since Amazon was born, or ever since I guess Amazon Prime was born, people want free shipping. So they're always looking for that. So you want to be able to offer free shipping. And if you're selling a desk or something, you're going to take a bath on it every time you ship one. John, greetings. Exotic Wood Zone, is that just like, is it exoticwoodzone.com? That's what multiple choices for. No, well, so Frank, the reason I say that is because he's like super math kid normally, and then of course he comes up here and he's like, I don't know how to do this. Hey Charles, what's happening, brother? Wasn't first. So did you just hear my discussion on that, Charles? Or did you get here a little late? But like I was just talking about that. Okay, so Paul, are you the one that asked, or are you the one that was asking how to share your work? Because that's actually a question I'm gonna get to in a minute. Spin Customs. What is Spin Customs? Is that obviously no, but is that laser engraving or is that 3D printing? Okay, so I think like I've caught up with you guys in chat real quick. So let me hit some of these other questions that people have asked. And Frank, I think a bunch of these are you. I think. Maybe not. Let's see. You have both. The first question is you have both. Oh shit! You know what? I put them in here so I can pull them up. Look at that. Let's go down here. You have both diodes and CO2 lasers. When going from doing a design on a diode to CO2, do you go by trial and error, or do you have like a chart or formula for figuring it out? Trial by error, 100%. I literally, excuse me. I literally, like I'll do a speed and power grid, but I don't have any way to equate one to the other. I still like. When I was testing the 40 watt from Xtool, I was trying to just like see if like just doubling things would equate, and it doesn't. So, like, I don't know how exactly that works, but there's like as far as I can tell, there's not. And I'm sure there's smarter people than me out there that are like, oh yeah, well if you times it by 2.54 or something or another, but I don't know what that is. So I trial and error every time. How do you handle honeycomb sag in the center to get consistent cut across the work? That is something I haven't really. My honeycomb does sag. Don't even get me wrong. But I haven't. It doesn't sag enough that I can't like find a flat spot on it. So I really haven't had that much of an issue with it yet. Are you using like a homemade honeycomb, or did you buy it, or how? Like, the reason I ask is because some of them like are made out of like kind of like a little bit lesser material. Like I have the one from Xtool, which is not probably the top of the line by any means, but it is pretty. What I have noticed is I can flip it over and I can push it back down and it'll stay for a little bit. I mean, it'll still sag eventually. It doesn't like fix it, but it corrects it for a while. But I mean my biggest solution for that is to try to avoid the sag area if you can. Yeah, Charles, it was like one of the first questions out of the box. I had a bunch of people ask me about it too, like when I was asking for questions. So definitely, it's like one of the first things I addressed in the beginning of the video. Well, nobody does. Let's see, the laser dude on YouTube sells you files. Is his name Spin Customs? I don't know who that is. I thought I knew most of the big laser dudes. Anyway, marketplace. Okay, so Paul gets his Mystic guitars off of Marketplace. Thank you for your videos. Well, thank you, sir. Let's see. We just got an Xtool Pro 10 watts RA. Awesome. You'll absolutely enjoy that machine. I kind of wish this is kind of silly, but I miss I miss back when there was just 10 there was just like a 5-watt machine and maybe a 10-watt machine here and there. It was just a lot easier to keep up with. Now it's like not only are they getting bigger and more powerful, but now people are going crazy with like, so Xtool came out the 40 watt, but a bunch of people came out of the 35 watt. It's not going to translate to anything. And it's, let's see, Mark. So Mark, it depends on what machine you're using. If you're using the 40 watt or the 20 watt, go watch my review on the 40 watt and there's a downloadable file in the description. If not, you can go to, I think I have it saved in here. Let me find this real quick. This place right here. So, and actually, you know what? Let me grab that and put it in chat because I don't think you can't copy it off the screen. So, here you go, sir. Go there, or yeah, Frank's right too. Lightburn has some has one that's built in. But I usually use the power grids off of O2 Creative because they're a little bit more customizable than uh, the one on Lightburn. Now, if it's in a pinch or it's quick and dirty, I'll use the one in Lightburn. But if I want to make it pretty, I go to O2 Creative. I'll have to check them out, man. I'm in Houston, Texas. Let's see. Okay, so are all 10-watt machines created equal? And if not, what are the differences you should be looking at? Okay, so I would say, and this is minus the people that you've never heard of. So your Comgros, your Xtools, your Turs. I would say your 10-watt laser head is pretty comparable across the board. What you'd be looking for after the fact is like kind of the build quality, and that's the reason I kind of lean pretty heavily towards Xtool, because their build quality is substantially better than a lot of the like extruded aluminum frames that you find on these other lasers. So I mean, you're kind of looking at that. You want to look at one big thing to look at is community, which is another thing that I think Xtool has going for them, because there is a pretty big user group behind them. Not to say Ortur's got a great laser group too, and not to say that you can't go find some like groups on Facebook that are just like, laser, not brand specific, that are good as well. But we all know that these lasers like will have issues from time to time, and customer support overseas is usually kind of crappy because of the time change. So it's nice to have those user groups to kind of fall back on. And so it's nice to be talking to somebody who has your same machine when you have issue. But I would say, and then the other thing I would say, Blue, is look at the laser dot size, because if you're looking to do fine engraving, you want a smaller laser dot. So, like, for example, I guess like the Ortur and the Xtool and everything, like I want to say they're all 0.08 millimeters by 0.0. Okay, I'm going to say this again. 0.08 millimeters by 0.08 millimeters. There, I got it out. Once those dots get bigger, you lose a little bit of detail. Now, I can't say across the board that everybody's laser dot is that size. Laser Packer is sending me a unit where they claim that now it's a 5-watt, but they claim that their laser dot is 0.05 by 0.05, which would be like super fine. So I'm just really kind of curious what kind of DPI you can pull with that. I do not have classes. I should have classes. I do not. I need to figure out a way to have like, I know everybody wants to like have like an online class. What I want is I want to have an online class, but I want it live, because I want people to be able to ask questions. So I wonder if I could have one of those, and then I could somehow repurpose that so other people could watch it. But I do not teach classes currently. I do not have time to teach classes. Yeah. It's definitely like, it's something I would like to do. I just don't, like I said, I don't have time to do it right now. Let's see. Okay, next question. Where are my questions? There they are. Let's see. Okay, so we did both diode and CO2. For wood engraving contrast, have you messed with either borax or the aperture method, which is raising the laser higher than normal? I haven't really messed with the aperture method. I know I've heard of it. I've used borax, and to me, it kind of depends on the wood, on whether it gets a lot darker or not. It seems to, on lighter woods, get much darker, and on darker woods, I can't see as much of a difference. So, for example, on like birch or cherry, you'll definitely see a darkening in your engrave. But like with like walnut, I didn't see a big difference. Excuse me. Sure, Blue. All right, let me get. Have you ever laser engraved Purple Heart? If so, does it show any decent contrast? It does. I actually brought this up, which I did. I just did a short on this. That's acrylic in there. And basically, what this is I'm going to be doing a video soon on like uh, curve cutting and friction fit. And so this is Purple Heart. This is green acrylic. I was just curious if like I could cross pollinate materials. I was trying to pop one of these out, but it's so hard. It's so frictioned in there that I can't get it out. But if you go watch my video where I did this, which I think is just a short um, on my YouTube channel, if you go watch that, you can see kind of what it looks like. It's pretty like a blink and you miss it deal, but you'll see me engrave the Purple Heart, and it does get pretty dark. It looks good and it smells delicious. It's just amazing. It smells so good. Yeah, thanks, Frank. Yeah, so that was again, I wanted to kind of mess with different materials because one of the things that Tong, who's the owner of AP Laser, was like really interested to see me do was do like Shoshugi bond, um, and then laser engrave it. And I've had kind of mixed results on it because it's still like in order to engrave deep enough into the wood to get like pine to come back out, it makes it a little dirty. So what I was thinking is, well, man, if I could friction fit something in there, whether it be like a different kind of wood or a different material like acrylic, it would really make it pop. So that is kind of a test piece. Plus, I was curious if I was curious how deep I could go um, with Purple Heart, and that is for reference, that's a little over 3 millimeters deep. Now that was also done with the 100-watt CO2. So don't think I did that with don't think I did that with the Xtool. But the Xtool will still engrave Purple Heart just fine. You're just not going to get that depth. To cut, I don't know if I've cut it. I would assume that well, I mean, I would assume that I could cut 3 millimeter Purple Heart with the CO2, considering that I could cut that deep. Um, that was, oh man, you're killing me. Let's see. I want to say that was 3 passes at like 5 inches per second, at like 75% power, I think is what took that down. I don't, when I'm testing something, I just kind of scribble notes downstairs. So it's downstairs. I don't have it. But I think that's if I remember correctly, that's ballpark what it was to get that to engrave to a depth of 3 millimeters. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I have 6 millimeter quarter-inch birch plywood, but my 10-watt will not cut it. Any reason why? Is it not strong enough? It's probably not strong enough. 10-watt is, I mean, you're going to be pretty good at 3 millimeter. 6 millimeter is getting up there for the 10-watt. You might be able to do it with like multiple passes, but you're going to get into like some burn and stuff on that too. And again, plywood is going to be a little harder to cut than just hardwood. So if you really want to cut like quarter-inch material, look for like quarter-inch hardwood or like quarter-inch wood, not plywood, because plywood's going to have like the plywood. The more plies you get, the more glue you have, and the more heat sinky you get, and the harder it is to cut through the individual deals. I think Frank is answering your question as well. And pro or not pro, Maria, it's not going to matter. You like at that point, you're just looking at the power of the laser. How do you grave without burning the wood so much? A lot of that is just dialing your settings in and air assist. And like, to tell you the truth, like this, when I did this, this actually had like a little bit of it wasn't burn, it was soot, but it had a little soot around there. So after I did this, I just I ran, sandpaper over it real quick. Also, some of that burning, if you spray with a little isopropyl alcohol, it'll mitigate that. You can. There is oh man, I can't remember who did the video now, or I would tell you. There's somebody look up laser engraved wood inlay. Somebody recently just did that with I'm not sure if they did with an Xtool, but they did with a diode laser, and it's kind of interesting because the guy dialed his settings in so well that I think he's using veneer, and he puts like 3 layers of blue tape on the back and dials his settings in well enough to only cut through 2 of those layers. So the 3rd layer is intact, so he could take the whole thing and turn it over and smack it in there. It's pretty cool. I do not have any sort of battery backup, but the power the so the actually, I guess I could hook that up. The power bank that I reviewed a couple weeks ago, the Danner power is a Danner. Um, it'll run like I've successfully sat there and run like the D1 Pro, um, the Air Assist, the Smoke Eater, and a laptop on it. And that thing is you can also use it as like a UPS. So I probably could use it. I don't have a real problem with power going out. So it's not something I really mess with so much. Cut through once. What am I doing wrong? Um, Probably focus. MDF is a pain in the ass to cut, by the way. It stinks. It's nasty. But you should be able to do it. So, my thoughts would be either focus, um, uh, well, focus or like is your lens dirty? If you said it cut through once, that makes me think that you might have like a little residue either on the actual the cylinder that the laser comes out of or on the lens itself. So I would check, make sure that all that's clean. Sorry, that was really weird. My dog is like licking himself on the couch, and I just kind of heard it in the background. All right, hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, well, no, we just answered that one. Purple Heart, yes. Awesome. Okay, and this is a very important question. I have a friend that wants to use the laser for a tattoo. Any experience here? Is this even possible? Yes, it is possible. I do not have personal experience, but I have watched a guy laser engrave like a skull and crossbones on his knuckle. Oops, sorry. Like kind of right here. And I would just say that make sure you are numb or have a high pain tolerance because I mean, literally, it's just going to be like a you know, it's like something's burning you the whole time. It's gonna be it's gonna be it'll be a brand. It's not a tattoo. I'm sure it doesn't feel great, and I'm not sure how long it will last. I don't know how deep it gets, but I did watch a guy on, I think it was on TikTok, just put his hand under there and like just did a little simple skull and crossbones. If I thought if I thought it would last, and I thought I had the tolerance to do it, which I don't think I do anymore. I would do one just for funsies. I had a friend of mine that he was Marine, and he had USMC branded on his arm, and his buddies got drunk one night, and they were like, "It's not like that doesn't look good enough," and it looks fine. So they decided to do it again, and so they made up a brand with a coat hanger and heated it on the stove, and they did it to him again, and just totally messed it up. And like you couldn't see it. It looked like his scar was blurry. It's pretty funny. Uh, what's up, Rick? Yeah, that's true. MDF is pretty much glue. That could be your other thing. It could just be dense with glue. Let's see. Do most important. Okay. So where's everyone getting their files for cutting and engraving? Um, I I get most of mine. I think there was more to this comment. I think they said something about they got something from Etsy and it wasn't working well. And my thing would be, or they said it wouldn't cut. My thing would be with that is make sure you're taking a vector file in if you want to cut, because like a JPEG won't unless you trace it or do something like that. It's just going to give you the option to engrave. But I get some of them on Etsy, and the other place I get them from, I think I have that one. Oh, let's see. um, and this isn't affiliate or anything. This is just a place I've used before. Designbundles.net. It's a weird concept. Like you pay like $20. Like you have, if you've used pirate ship, it's kind of the same thing, but you pay like $20, and then every time you buy something, it comes out of that $20 until you get down to a certain number, and then it refills it for $20. But like every design I've got from them has been pretty good. So those are the two places I use. If you're using any place, well, I shouldn't say if you're using any place else, but if you're using any place that's free, make sure you like virus scan the stuff and make sure, because especially like STL files and stuff like that are really easy to, I guess, kind of impregnate with a virus. Impregnate. I would never think of it. So it's funny that you say burn dad burn. The channel originally was named Build It Burn It. And I changed it to Build Dad Build because I didn't want to get pigeonholed into the guy on the internet that lights stuff on fire. And now I'm the guy that on the internet that lights stuff on fire. Where's it anyway? But if anybody has any good places that they get laser files from, do me a favor, don't put it in chat, put it in the comments, like on the YouTube video, so other people will be able to see it later, and click on it and whatnot. Like if you have a good place, if you've got your like cool little place you got, I found somebody posted a thing, and this is tangent, but somebody posted a thing in a 3D printing group that was like, hey, by the way, this 3D printing place right now, or this 3D file factory, or whatever you want to call them right now, is like doing everything 50% off. Don't miss out. So I click on it and I'm like, why are these files so expensive? They're all like full size. Well, I say full size, like not full size, but like a Harley Quinn that's, 8 inches or 12 inches tall, right? And Black Widow and all these different like female pop culture people. But the files are really expensive from what I've seen for 3D printing files. Even half price, they were expensive. And I start clicking on some of them, and they all have a clothed version and an adult version where they're either like not wearing anything, or they're wearing like thigh highs and they're topless and all stuff. And I'm like, oh, apparently there is a market for everything. What's the latest with the consultants? I am still, it's kind of weird because there's a bunch of things in the works, but we have not churned out too much yet, because like one thing is they take 30 days to collect data to like kind of figure out different different pain points you may have. The one thing that has come out of the consultants so far is if you go look at the banner on my webpage now, or not my webpage, but my YouTube page, it's different and it's much better. I love it. They have some graphics people that you can work with. So I've put in a couple requests for graphics. That's the first one that came back. And honestly, I was like getting a little skeptical because I didn't really feel like I was getting a whole lot out of it. And then they sent me that first graphic and I'm like, this is beautiful. Like I love this. So we're back on board with the consultants right now. Yeah. If you do your own stuff, that's totally fine. I'm not consulting on anything. I'm working with some YouTube consultants to better the channel. Let's see. I keep going over there, but we have We have these guys. So just to throw this out here, I don't know any way to make a kidney stone pass faster, but I would assume that it involves lasers. Don't try that at home, kids. Just kidding. Can you show how to correct the home button in Lightburn when adding the extension rail kit for the Xtool D1 Pro? This way you don't have to hit home twice. So I don't know because I don't have the extension kit. But my thought would be that you need to go into the profile for your Xtool and change the y-axis. Is that the? I'm trying to think of which way it goes. Anyway, change whatever axis got bigger. It'd be the X. Wait. Yeah, because it goes sideways then, right? Anyway, whatever axis gets bigger, yeah, I would think you need to change that number from 430, whatever it is, to whatever the extended amount is. That makes sense? Email me at nick@build.build.com if that was your question and you don't understand what I'm saying. Yes, please. I'm an okay artist. Dragonfire is a great artist. Let's see. I think we're so somebody asked us earlier too. How do we show some stuff we have learned? If you want to show me any of your stuff, you can absolutely show me on, well, you can email it to me, but it's more fun to show it on my Discord channel. I don't like how I can't edit this while it's up there, but I'm gonna drop this in chat as well, because I think I think you click on it in chat. I don't think you can click on it when it's up there. But my Discord channel, that's kind of what it's there for, is for people to show off their stuff and ask questions. Let's see. Any thoughts? Oh, okay. Then we already did this one. Any thoughts on the new Xtool CO2? But like I said, so for those of you that weren't in the room when I said it before, I am when am I active on Discord? Kind of all day. It depends on how much chatter there is. Sorry. Dragonfire asked, when am I active on Discord? I'm usually active in the morning, my time morning. So it's like probably like 7 to 9. But like if you ask a question and at me, I usually get back to you within 24 hours, unless it's a weekend. Discord's like one of the only social platforms that I really don't check on the weekend unless I'm expecting something. But yeah. And then let me just hop back to the P2 real quick. Like I said before, I originally wasn't going to review this at all, but I had enough of you ask that I did reach out to Xtool and say, hey, listen, thanks, Frank. If you guys still want to send me one, my viewers want to review it, or want me to review it. So we should see. I can see them being petty and not sending it to me, but I can also see them like seeing the opportunity to make some sales and sending it to me. So if they do send it to me, I will definitely be reviewing it post haste, because I know a lot of people were asking about it. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but you guys have told me that you think it's a big deal, so we will we'll try to do something with it. And then well, I hate to say, well, we'll see. I don't want to say. I don't want you guys to hold me to anything. Yeah, so Jim, I would think that you need to go in and just change the parameters on so go under like devices, and I don't know if you're the one that asked the question or not, but go under devices. Let me pull up Lightburn and I'll tell you. I would put this up on the screen, but I don't have any lasers connected to this computer, so you're like, it would look weird to you guys. But you go to devices, you click on your laser, you would hit edit, you would go next, and then on like that the second or third page, depending on what you're looking at, you've got an x-axis and a y-axis, and I would think you'd have to change. It's throwing me off because it's it doesn't run. It runs up and down, but everybody turns it sideways. So that would be the y-axis is double, right? Anyway, you would change whichever axis is bigger, which I think is the y-axis, um, to whatever the new measurement it is. And carry your gun. Wait, so where are you now, David? Upstate New York? Oh, you can't. Okay, I'm sorry. We've been looking for different places to move, and I'm like, wait, you can carry in New York, but it's you can carry weed in New York. Let's see. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And Arkansas, Arkansas is one of the places we're looking, David. So I may see you there. Send some heat up here. Frank, you're in Washington or something, aren't you? Are there any free file sources for lasers like Thangs or Thingiverse for 3D? Not that I found, man. I mean, if you look up like free laser files, you'll find like well, you can find depending on what you want to do, I guess. Some of the big brands like Trotec has like some laser files that you could download and stuff like that. So those are free. There is a company called or a website called it's like access3d.co, I think, or something along those lines. And they have some laser files on there. They do have some 3D print files as well. But that's one that I would like make sure you're virus scanning the files when you pull off, because like I'm on a Mac, so I don't have like some of those problems, but I see when like a file won't quite work right. And that's a big red flag on the fact that it's been altered or is malicious in some way. And that's and then like Xtool has yeah, they have files online, don't they? Or they just have the files in the software. I mean, if you're looking for unique files, I don't have a good place for you. Like design bundles, the reason I like design bundles is because their stuff is fairly cheap. So if you want to go buy, like, let's say you want to do earrings or something, you go buy like a thing of like 20 earrings or something for like $4 or $5. It's not like, so it's not free, but it's not breaking the bank every time you buy a file either. Oh, that's true too. You need to make sure to read the fine print on those. Usually a lot of those sites are like, if it's a free file site, you're probably okay, but make sure that you read their description too. Like, if they just posted a file for you to like print out and you're going to sell it, like you may have an issue with that. All right, guys, we're rounding on an hour. Any additional questions before I jump off here? Getting a laser craft for the Xtool D1 and planning on trying leather. So you have advice for settings. I don't have advice for settings. And here's why. Because leather is different types of leather are vastly different from each other. And even when I did some attempts on leather, like light wet leather and dark leather, engrave different and cut different, you definitely want to use like I think it's vegan tanned leather or vegetable tanned leather. Don't get the pleather stuff because that stuff tends to have a lot of chemicals in it and it's bad for you and it's bad for your machine. I would for a jump off point, I would check Xtool's website. They do have like a material setting and look at what their setting is for your particular laser and your particular power, and use that to build like maybe even a speed and power grid, or just trial and error off that that setting. But I had a buddy of mine that's he's a leather worker, and he sent me a bunch of different kinds of leather, and I thought I'd do a speed and power grid on one of those and we'd be totally good, and I ended up having to do a speed and power grid on each individual leather because it was either darker or lighter or colored or, thickness and all that stuff. Crazy. It does stink, but Dragonfire, here's what I found. Like, one, if you dial your settings in right, actually, this is not what I found. This is what I've been told. If you dial your settings in right and you use high quality leather, it's not nearly as bad. So, like when you get the stuff from Xtool, I don't know what that stuff is, but that stuff stinks. And some of it smells worse than others. But if you dial yourself in and get yourself a little bit of ventilation, you're usually good. The first couple times I did it, I mean, it's like burning. It smells like burning hair. Is what it smells like. It's gross. You got to read the licensing on it, Frank. Sometimes Creative Commons is fair use, and sometimes it's fair use for personal only. Correct. If you can figure out what it's made of, just buy some of it and try it on there first. All right, now y'all are just talking football. All right, guys, I'm gonna go hang out with my wife. So thanks for coming out, and I appreciate each and every one of you. This next video coming out is going to be on a 3D printer. It's right behind me. I have been 3D printing some things. So Ozzy showed this to you earlier. But this thing's the closest thing to like magic that there is. Somebody else told me that. I didn't do that, but it's just crazy how this stuff just like pops out of this thing. I'm amazed. But let's see. Hold on. Black is the only reliable. Interesting. Oh, all right. I've never had a problem with red, but okay. Yeah. All right. Guys, I appreciate you, and have a good evening or rest of it. And I would clinkies you again, but I'm out. And I will see you. I'll see you later. Check in on Instagram. I usually post what my day is doing there, and always, if you want to share your work, head on over to Discord. All right, guys, have a good night. Bye bye.